Hi, everyone. My name is Savitri Duvezi, and I'm the Public Health Program Manager at the Hepatitis B Foundation. On behalf of Hep B United, I want to thank you for joining today's Speakers Bureau orientation. Today's training is a combined effort between Hep B United, our CDC partners, and the IW Group, an advertising and public relations agency that has been working in partnership with CDC on the No Hepatitis B campaign. During our time today, we'll provide an overview of the Speakers Bureau and discuss resources including the Speakers Bureau Toolkit and the CDC No Hepatitis B campaign. Today's training will conclude with a Q&A session. Joining us as your presenters today are Kate Morara, Senior Program Director at the Hepatitis B Foundation and Director of Hep B United, Sherry Chen, Health Scientist at the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, and Isha, Director of Policy and Advocacy at Association of Asian Pacific Community Health Organizations, and myself. So before we get started, I just want to review a few housekeeping items to let you know how you can participate in today's training. Please note that all the attendees are in listen-only mode and you'll be muted throughout the presentation. After all the presentations are completed, we'll be holding a Q&A discussion session where you can participate in two different ways. At the start of the Q&A session, you'll have an option of being unmuted to ask your questions to any of our presenters. Or you may also submit questions in writing during our presentation by typing them in the chat box in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. And please make sure to indicate who these questions are being addressed to. We'll be reviewing the questions as they come and then address them at the end of the session. Also note that today's training is being recorded and you'll receive an email with the link of the recording after the training. So before we get started, let's give everyone a chance to introduce themselves. I'll be unmuting you, so please state your name and the coalition you're affiliated with. Hi, I see Flora's on the line.
Yeah.
Hello? Is Sue on the line? Hi, Kate.
Hi, do folks want to introduce themselves? Who are joining today? Sorry, what was that?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, this is Kim Solchaga. I'm from Malama Pono Health Services on Kauai.
Great, and you're affiliated with Hep Free Hawaii?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Nice to meet you, Kim.
Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you for joining.
And then, Kavitri, were there others on? The it might be because, oh, there she is. Hi, Sue. Are you on the line, Sue Kim? Feature, do you just want to continue and then?
Yeah, okay. So, well, thank you everyone again for joining, and I'll just turn it over to Kate Morales for an overview of Hep United.
Okay, great. And just a quick reminder for folks, if you are having an issue with your microphone, just be sure to enter your audio PIN number, which is available if you click on audio under your control panel. You have to enter your audio PIN in order to be heard. And if you have any issues, feel free to use the chat box to let us know. We'll try to help you out. So Pavitra asked me to talk a little bit about Hep United, to give you an overview, so that this is something when you do end up speaking with the media or with other organizations and other entities that you're speaking about, we wanted you to feel comfortable talking about the coalition and its history. And there is in your toolkit a one-pager that describes the coalition as well as how it came about, and a list of all of our partners, including our federal partners and national organizational partners as well. So I will give you a run through this a little bit quickly, but feel free to ask me any questions at the end. So a little bit of a history. Hep United was created about 4 years ago now, almost 4 years ago now, by the Association of Asian Pacific Community Health Organizations, AAPI, and the Hepatitis B Foundation. And we were seeded by the HHS Office of Minority Health to start this coalition. The reason why we really started this coalition was because there were already a lot of organizations and coalitions across the country working on hepatitis B, but there was sort of a lack of a national forum for sharing best practices and sort of a place for people to come together and network and sort of share some of the things that are barriers and other things that were going on across the country. So we brought together everyone together in this coalition to do both advocacy work as well as programmatic work, and really to elevate the profile of hepatitis B. So today, we're a coalition of about 24 local coalitions. What makes us unique is that we're a coalition of coalitions. So we represent coalitions nationwide that are made up of different entities like local health departments, community-based organizations, and health clinics, as well as student groups, among others. Even though we have 24 local coalitions, you'll see on our one page that we're actually about 30 plus, which includes our national organizational partners. And our goal is really to support and leverage the success of our coalitions nationwide to increase Hep B awareness, screening, vaccination, and linkage to care. We focus specifically on Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders who, as you know, face disproportionate infection rates. So we're working on 3 goals. One is to raise the profile of Hep B and its link to liver cancer as an urgent public health issue. And as I said, increase testing and vaccination, particularly among high-risk communities, especially Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islander communities, and improve access to care and treatment for individuals living with Hep B to prevent liver disease and liver cancer. So some of our current activities really are built around capacity building and training. And they're multi-pronged. Our capacity building activities include things like webinars and online trainings, like today is an example, and this week we're also doing a Hep B Hangout, which is a video chat. We have a mini grants program, which we grants from our CDC cooperative agreement to increase really aimed at to increase screening and linkage to care, as well as educational activities. We also have a peer mentoring program where we match up different coalitions who are at varying levels of capacity to build a coalition where there may not be one at the moment. And we also have an annual summit, which is where at one time each year our partners come together face to face. In the past couple of years, we've met in Washington, D.C., which also provides us an opportunity to meet with federal officials and also legislators. And Sherry Chen and Pavitri will also be talking about this in a little bit, but one of our goals is to increase knowledge and awareness, and we do this through the No Hepatitis B campaign. Hep United officially partners with the CDC on this campaign. And then the Speakers Bureau, which you're a part of, and as a way to reach our non-English speaking audience in a linguistically appropriate manner. And I already mentioned sharing best practices is a big goal of Hep United. We're doing, like I mentioned earlier, we're doing advocacy work. You know, a lot of the impetus around hepatitis B has been brought about by the 2010 Institute of Medicine report. And a lot of the activities going on at that time has been built out from that 2010 report. And we are working closely with our federal partners on a number of activities, really to elevate awareness around hepatitis B. And I just wanted to highlight one other resource that's, I think that's in your toolkit, or there should be a link there, from HHS on, they released an action plan on combating hepatitis, and Hep United at the time. Also, we're working closely with them to implement a lot of those activities, and you'll find a copy of our own action plan. We drafted a community action plan that responded to the HHS action plan. So a lot of those are available on www.hepunited.org, and they also should be listed in your toolkit as well. I think that's it, and I know that was really quick, and there's a lot of resources, but happy to answer any questions at the end. Pavitri?
Thank you, Kate. I just want to make sure that the webinar is being recorded from your side before I get started.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So now I just want to take a few minutes to talk about Hep United Speakers Bureau and give you a brief overview of the toolkit that was sent out in your email this morning. So Hep United created an in-language Speakers Bureau in an effort to elevate awareness and address hepatitis B in Asian and Pacific Islander communities across the country. Over the past several months, Hep United members submitted recommendations for in-language spokespeople within their local community. The intention behind the Speakers Bureau is to disseminate accurate information about hepatitis B to our local AAPI communities through newspaper, television, and radio interviews with local ethnic media outlets. These interviews promote hepatitis B awareness, screening, immunization, and linkage to care for all, but specifically for high-risk API populations. This is also a great opportunity to promote your local coalition's Hep B events and efforts. So connecting with media can happen in a few different ways. One way is for an opportunity to arise when a speaker will be needed in a certain Asian media market. For example, to help us promote the No Hepatitis B campaign in Houston, the IW group linked Shane Chen from Houston Hope Clinic to a Chinese radio station. Shane did an interview on a Chinese radio talk show and not only promoted the hepatitis B campaign, but also helped with the Hep B prevention services that are offered through the clinic. And another way you can also do this is if the media and spokespeople can connect to Hep United website. So as you can see on the homepage of the Hep United website, you'll find a tab on the upper right-hand corner to access the Speakers Bureau page. The tab that's circled in blue here. And this is going to take you to the Speakers Bureau homepage which has a list of speakers with the languages they speak. From here, you can also select a speaker to access the speaker's personal bio page. Dr. Su Wong has kindly allowed us to showcase her for today's training. So on the page, you'll see the coalition she's affiliated with, along with a brief bio. So let's say if someone wants to get in touch with Dr. Wong to set up an interview, or they have any questions, they can do so by clicking on the Contact Us tab. And this way, Happy United will receive the message and help facilitate the connection. It's also important to know that no one is going to be connecting or contacting the speakers directly, so the speakers don't have to worry about building that type of outreach. Every time someone wants to connect with the speaker, they're going to contact Happy United first, and then we'll make sure that you are being connected with the individual that's interested. And you're also welcome to reach out to media on your own as well. The Speakers Bureau homepage and bio pages are currently in progress, and after the training today, we'll be following up with you to ask you about your speaker's bio page. Next, I just want to briefly go over the Speakers Bureau toolkit. So this morning, I sent out the toolkit, which also will be accessible through the website. And inside the toolkit, you'll find a one-pager about Happy United, including a list of all of our coalition partners. You'll also find a hepatitis B and liver cancer fact sheet and a summary of current hepatitis B policy initiatives. Updated information on these initiatives will be posted on Happy United's website policy page. You'll also find a CDC fact sheet on the No Hepatitis B campaign, which Sherry Chen will be going over shortly. Now, I'd like to ask Isha to give us an overview of the hepatitis B-related policy initiatives to help us get familiar with them. Isha?
Thanks, Pavitri. So I'm sorry I don't have any slides for you all today, but if you can follow along with the toolkit that you have, I'm just going to go over the sections that are in the policy section of the toolkit. So as Pavitri had mentioned, the purpose of the toolkit on the policy side is also to help educate you all about the policy issues that we work on in DC and nationally, and to help facilitate what may be quite wonky policy issues, and to translate them in a way that's digestible, so you can help others in your organizations and with the communities that you serve better understand policy issues. And so you can directly see the links with the work that you do with the policy work that we do. So the first section in the toolkit talks about the National Viral Hepatitis Action Plan. That was created by the Department of Health and Human Services in 2011, and it was recreated in 2014 or updated. And it has a number of sections, all of which are outlined in the toolkit. And some are more related to Hep B than Hep C. For example, there's an entire section on eliminating perinatal transmission of hepatitis B. And although the document is pretty long and is set to end at the end of this year, I would highly encourage you all to just take a look at it, to familiarize yourself with the activities that federal agencies are working on and how they relate to the work that you do. And of course, if you have any questions, Kate or I are happy to answer any questions that you might have, and as to what exactly federal agencies have promised to do and how it relates to your work. The reason why it's important to familiarize yourself with these rather wonky documents like the action plan is it's important when there are opportunities like what we have right now. There's an open comment period for stakeholders to talk about the activities that they've done. All the activities that you all have done in your communities, and HHS is going to take those comments and cross-check them with what they've done with the plan. So it could help inform future developments of their overarching plans within HHS's Division of Viral Hepatitis. So it's important to look at that. The next section talks about the Affordable Care Act and hepatitis B. And specifically, although there are many sections within the Affordable Care Act that are related to Hep B services, of course, the number one issue that we've been focusing on for over the past couple of years is ensuring that hepatitis B screening is covered with little to no copay as a preventative service. So we were able to get with all of our collective energy, the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force, which we shorten to the USPSTF, to raise the grade. They provide all preventative services a grade from a D to a B, and that means that Hep B screening is then covered for little to no copay under the ACA, but right now it's only covered for those who are enrolled in health insurance marketplaces. What we need you all to work on is to help educate other advocates as to the fact that we don't know whether we know that it is not covered for Medicaid and Medicare as of yet. So we're trying to push CMS, the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare, to cover Hep B screening for both the Medicare population and the Medicaid population, so that, of course, the latter depends on the state. So that point that I just made is quite confusing, I realize, and it becomes very confusing for advocates as well, because a lot of people think that because we got the B grade, then we're all in the clear, and Hep B screening is either free or has no copay, but that is not the case at all. So that's where we really could use your help within the Speakers Bureau. The third point that's stated in the toolkit talks about appropriations, and right now we're going through the fiscal year 2017 cycle, so it starts in the fall, but we're working on the processes to get to the fall. So we are pushing for a higher funding level to be given to the CDC's Division of Viral Hepatitis, as we do every year. And it's really crucial that we have as many people on board to understand the importance of increasing the funding level for the CDC to fund, for example, grant programs that provide screening, to fund the great work that Sherry does, who's speaking next, to fund and to also to elevate the importance of viral hepatitis within the government. So we worry that advocates across the U.S. Just leave it to those that are in D.C. to make the ask, but the more people that are able to push for a higher funding level, the better. The more voices that we have, the better our entire cause will be. So there is a section in the toolkit about appropriations, and of course, please ask if you have any questions. And lastly, there's a section about viral hepatitis legislation. The section talks about the Viral Hepatitis Testing Act, but we also have legislation called the Viral Hepatitis and Liver Cancer Control Prevention Act. And that larger piece of legislation is within a huge bill called the Health Equity and Accountability Act, that works to address health equity among all populations, but looking at many different health issues. So we know technically that these pieces of legislation are difficult to push through Congress, as many pieces of legislation are, to be honest, at this point. But the reason why we put this in here is it's important when you come to Capitol Hill, or you have peers who come to Capitol Hill as well, to use these pieces of legislation as tools to educate your congresspeople about viral hepatitis. So by talking about a piece of legislation and the impact of increased screening in viral hepatitis, vaccination in Hep B, treatment in Hep B and C, and linkage to care in Hep B and C, as well as education on the provider and patient level. When you talk through these pieces of legislation, the members or their staff people are better educated about viral hepatitis. So it's incredibly important to use pieces like this, as well as the appropriations ask when you are on the Hill, or even when you're in your district. You don't have to come to DC to talk about these things with your members. You can always do that at a member's district office as well. So I'm happy to provide any further information about any of the points that I made, but if you have any questions now, or feel free to contact me via email or by phone. Thank you.
Thank you, Isha. That was very helpful. And now I'd like to pass it off to Sherry Chen, who will be providing us with more information on the No Hepatitis B campaign. Sherry?
Thanks, Pavitri. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the No Hepatitis B campaign, and specifically about some news media outreach opportunities in support of the campaign. And next slide, please. So the campaign was first launched in 2013. We have launched new phases almost yearly. This year we are hoping to launch in March. And the campaign's primary objective is to encourage testing for hepatitis B among Asian Americans, and with the secondary objective of increasing knowledge of key facts and decreasing stigma associated with hepatitis B. Our target audiences are defined by ethnicity and language preferences, and we mainly focus on people who are of Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese heritage. On the next slide, there is an overview of our campaign materials. We have a wide variety of resources in multiple languages, mainly in Chinese, Korean, and Vietnamese, and include broadcast, social media, and print resources. Next slide.
Feel free to advance the slides if you want.
Oh,
sorry.
Can I? Okay, I may need to figure out how to do that. So we disseminate the campaign on the national level through digital ad buys throughout the country, as well as working in select ethnic media markets. This includes news media outreach, which we would love your participation in, as well as in a traditional campaign with TV, radio, and print ads. Okay. And so this year we're just going to focus our ad buys in these cities for the most reach. These cities also have the largest Asian American population sizes. They're New York City, and also included that's New Jersey, Los Angeles, Dallas, Washington, D.C., Seattle, and Houston. So as part of the campaign, we also really value our partnership with Hep B United, and the Speakers Bureau is one of these efforts. We would like the Speakers Bureau to work with Hep B United and do media interviews in these cities to promote both your work as well as the overall campaign message of encouraging Asian Americans to get tested for hepatitis B. And if it's helpful, you can tie the No Hep B campaign into your interviews, as well as Hep B United, to highlight that this is a national effort. And in addition, we rely on Hep B United partners to extend the reach of our campaign into local communities, which would supplement your education, direct services, and testing events, as well as working with community leaders. So here are just some slides or some tips from IW Group on working with ethnic media, especially for those based in cities where we are not specifically doing advisor media outreach. We do realize that there are a lot of opportunities for local media outreach in many places, and we really encourage you guys to reach out to the media in your areas. So we encourage you to start by building relationships with ethnic media and providing in-language press releases and materials. As people who work in these outlets are not necessarily experts on the subject, and you do want to make your work as easy as possible for the reporters. On the next slide, before the interviews, you want to familiarize or make sure you're familiar with the content and you have talking points and information ready. As mentioned earlier, the toolkit is great as a great resource, and it'll provide you with a lot of information and supplementary materials. And then after the interview, you can ask for the media ask the media for a link to the interview or a file to a file of the conversation, and then if you share it with others at HBU United, that would be great. And then here I just wanted to show you specifically some of the HBU resources that might be helpful as either a guide for what you say in the media interviews or as pieces to share with others. We have full-page visuals that are often used as our posters that can also be used as print ads or flyers. A fact sheet that goes into more detail about hepatitis B, and then an infographic that kind of breaks down some key Hep B information to bite-sized images and bullets. But as previous presenters have mentioned, there are plenty of really helpful resources in the toolkit. And then finally, if you are in one of our key markets, here are some steps that you might go through in setting up an interview with IW Group. IW Group will help identify a specific media outlet, and we'll look for an expert to give this interview. It's a bit of prep work and just making sure you know what you want to say, and just coordinate the timing and pitching the story. But once you are interviewed, it generates a story, and again, we encourage you guys to share it with HBU United. And finally, on the last page, on the last slide, there's just a sample of past media outreach opportunities. Thank you. That was it.
Thank you, Sherry. So now I'll want to begin the Q&A portion of our discussion. As I mentioned before, you can either submit your question if you are having trouble unmuting yourself, or if it's better for you, you can submit your question in the chat box.
Savitri, looks like maybe Kim has a question.
Hi, Kim. Do you have a question? Okay. Well, if there are no questions, we can go ahead and wrap up. I just want to say thank you so much for that rich discussion. If we were unable to answer any of your questions today, please don't hesitate to contact us directly at connect@hepunited.org. You can also learn more about HBU United and our members on our website too, or you can also go on our Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube page. Thank you to all our presenters, and thank you all for participating. Please keep a lookout for an email from HBU United, and it's going to include all the materials from today's training along with a link for the recording. Again, thank you so much, and I hope you all have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.